I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
And this is Fish Jelly.
You won't hear me laughing as I terminate your day.
That's a Grace Jones reference. The song is called
Corporate Cannibal.
Corporate Cannibal.
Digital Criminal.
That's a good song.
It is a very good song.
Happy Pride.
Apple pie.
Apple pie.
Yeah, I keep forgetting. We've kind of been out of that bubble.
I was going to ask you what pride means to you. Or do you have memories of pride?
Yeah, I think I have very positive memories of Pride in Minneapolis because then it felt like there was a lot more camaraderie than in Los Angeles, which is impossible to get around in.
Well, Los Angeles Pride is just like, I mean, it's just a bunch of people congregated in like that park in West Hollywood. It just kind of feels like chaos. There really isn't. There are vendors, but it's not so much information as it is like a party. Versus Twin Cities Pride, I have to say I also really enjoyed because it would be held at Loring Park, and then there's a huge, like the biggest gay bar like right across the way. So they would block they kind of like a block party, and then there'd be pretty cool entertainers at the Pride Festival, and then the gay bar would have like their own thing in the evening. So it was I have very fond memories of Twin Cities Pride as well.
And it's not like that was never chaotic, but it just, yeah, LA's just a beast.
Yeah, logistically, it's just, for me, not worth the energy anymore. When I was in college in the 90s, we would come out here for Pride. And that was fun because I was like not 21 yet. And, you know, seeing all these gay people was very exciting. And, yeah, it was more exciting than it is, 23 years later. And then my very first Pride was in Vegas, which was indoors because it's so damn hot. And I remember thinking that was very interesting because they had a big space. It was inside of like a stadium, but there weren't that many people to attend. So it was sparsely populated. And then one year I recall it being made like at a park. And then, yeah, I have kind of fond memories, but nowadays, the idea of having to like make my way, which we don't even live that far from where it is.
I think I really dislike any time where everybody's expected to do the same thing at the same time in the same place, like holidays. There's just not enough space to support all of that. And I don't know.
Well, and I don't like the pressure to, like...
Have fun. You gotta have fun.
Yeah, like, it's just everyone going hard. But that's everything. It's like, it's Taco Tuesday, blah, or it's whatever. Like, everyone just goes crazy. But I was going to say, I was at the grocery store this morning, and even the damn grocery store, granted it's a grocery store in West Hollywood, had like a Pride section.
Of course. Yeah.
And they had sort of put like, because the grocery store is a hodgepodge of things. They just had all kinds of rainbow colored things like in like a central display. But it was very random things, like a soda that's rainbow shaped, and then like they had like hair accessories that were, it was just like random things all piled up into one. And then I kind of felt gross. Like, I mean, I work in marketing, so it's like I get it, like an opportunity to, of course businesses want you to think they're supporting, but it's also an opportunity to make more money, and
of course
there's sort of like PR value and that kind of stuff. But it does feel like I'm being pandered to, and I don't know. I guess if you really care about these things, then why don't you sell these items year round? Of course, there probably isn't a desire for it. Like, people only get crazy in June, but for rainbow shit. But
no, I like the offshoots of things. Like, I think Palm Springs Pride is a little more you can navigate it a bit easier. Except then again, there's a strip where all the gay bars are in one place, and unless you go really early, getting in is impossible. And
well, I think that's the difference. In areas where there's like a gay ghetto, then Pride is easier because everything can sort of be there. But now that West Hollywood it's still like the gayest part of LA, but yeah, it just sort of feels like in the midst of all this chaos and congestion, we're going to have like 100,000 people squeeze into this park. And then these concerts, LA Pride gets pretty big entertainers. So then it's like, well, I wouldn't even think about trying to go and see Christina Aguilera because there will be 1 million people there going crazy. But moving on.
But, we went out last night. which was actually very refreshing because it didn't feel.
Well, it was not as busy. Like, it was probably the least busy I've ever seen it at Precinct, the gay bar in downtown LA, on a Friday night. Because it was Sugar Tank, which is a popular night.
Saturday night.
Last night was Saturday?
Uh-huh.
Oh, God.
Today's Sunday.
Yeah, so it wasn't busy for a Saturday night, which was actually really nice.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
I'm assuming because
it was not busy.
it wasn't empty, but normally on Sugar Tank night it's busy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there were a lot of people who were in WeHo because of Pride. But moving on, I was out and about this morning and I witnessed a couple having a pretty violent fight in public. Mm-hmm. They weren't hitting each other, but it was a man and a woman, and the man was getting very upset and was hitting himself and was bleeding everywhere, and then they were screaming at the top of their lungs. And I was just thinking, like, it's always so sad to see, like, everyone has disagreements and arguments and disputes, and they can get heated. And we've certainly had heated discussions and arguments. But I think to take it, like, outside, figuratively and literally, like, where everyone can hear it.
Getting wild in the streets.
I just think that's so unfortunate. Because to me, that would be sort of like, I mean, that's crossing a line. Mm-hmm. Like, you screaming at me in public, like, because I think there are anger management issues associated with that, and like a lack of self-awareness, and there are so many things attached to, like, I'm going to scream at the top of my lungs at you in public and act crazy and violent. Yeah, that really made me feel weird.
Well, yeah.
But moving on, so RuPaul's Drag Race All-Star 7, the winter season, we watched episode 4, which was titled Fairy Tale Justice. So their challenge was to recreate like a courtroom show. Mm-hmm. And then they had 2 like plaintiffs or defendants or whatever. One was like, so they were split into 2 groups. Mm-hmm. So 4 of them did like the 3 little pigs. And then 4 of them did Goldilocks and the 3 bears.
And it was kind of more improv.
It was improv, but I do have to say, I mean, they were all good enough that it felt scripted.
Yeah.
So, the benefit of watching an all-winter season is, even for the ones who people might think are the weakest, they're still more competent than a regular season. So it was kind of fun to watch all of them do their thing, and they were all competent.
Yeah, it just felt flat. It felt flat. It felt long.
And I think what made it feel even more flat is Michelle Visage is not very engaging. Like,
no.
She's just kind of... It's funny that she always criticizes everyone for not pushing boundaries and being more unique, but then she is always the same.
She's one note, yeah.
She is so one note, and yeah. But the top 2 were Jinx Monsoon and the Vivian, and they lip synced to a remix of Whitney Houston's song "Love Will Save the Day," which is a song I loved in the late '80s. Neither of them did it justice at all, but the Vivian won, so now she can block someone, and she blocked Monet Exchange because Monet got a star the very first episode. And then the next 3 episodes, and then the following 2 episodes, no one blocked her.
But she also hasn't been in the top since then.
But she hasn't been in the top, so I don't know if I would have...
It was so, her reaction to it was so unappealing.
Yeah, like, how dare you give me this? And it's like, girl, that makes me want them to give it to you.
Right,
For my money, I would have probably given it to Shay or Trinity, because I feel like those 2 are more likely to be in the top again.
Yeah.
I think Monet being in the top was kind of a fluke. But that's that. Oh, Jeffrey Boyd Chapman was a judge.
Extra special guest judge. It's like, no, this is just a kind of a regular schmegular guest judge.
Yeah, and then he said, like, it's so good to be back. Like, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Since they scared your ass away already. That I'm only mentioning it because it happened, like the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing.
Oh yeah, that's finally come to its conclusion.
The only thing I wanted to say, because I don't know much about the case, I did read about it and I get the gist of it, but I don't have opinions because I don't know these people and I didn't look at all the facts. So I'm not going to say who is right and who's wrong. What I did want to say is, like, listening to people talk about it, especially women, because some coworkers were talking about it. Then my mom had been watching it every day, and she was telling me about it. And then I was at the grocery store a couple days ago, and like these women in line while I was waiting were talking about it. and they were all like very anti Amber Heard.
Which is like, yes, and there are more people talking about that than the possible revocation of Roe versus Wade.
You know, I mean, I get it. It's popular. It's in the news, and you know, it's kind of like fluff. But yeah, it's just so interesting how people have such strong opinions, and I don't even know that people are following the case that closely. Maybe they are, and they know more facts than I do. But to me, it just seems weird. Like these are two rich, famous people who had a shitty relationship, clearly, because it's devolved to this.
Yeah, but it seems like there's always this attraction for ugly celebrity divorces or court cases.
Yeah,
but
I think because people are curious.
Yes,
but the thing they're curious about is these celebrity lives, but then they don't apply that same logic to their processing of it. Like, if you work at Costco and you're married to a truck driver and y'all live in like middle America in an average 3-bedroom home.
Paint the picture. There you go.
Right? And you don't have like, you maybe have like $2,000 saved, no college money for your kids, barely getting by. It's like, you don't know what it's like to be beautiful, rich. Oh. No, but it's true. Like beautiful, rich, and famous.
Sure.
So it's like people judge like these people against their own rubric. And it's like, well, yeah, if you make $40,000 a year and you have to pay your wife $800 a month in spousal support, you might have to kill her. But it's like Johnny Depp paying someone $15 million or her whatever is like, well, that's not like they're gonna be homeless. They'll recover. They'll be millionaires still. So it's just funny listening to people talk like these are not normal people. And also celebrities like that probably don't even, it's not like we spend every day together. Or like most couples, where there's a lot of opportunity to drive each other crazy and really get to know the person and all their little fucking ticks that, you know, like you get very personal with people, and it makes sense that it's just interesting. Like, I don't think Amber Heard and Johnny Depp spent every day at home together, like preparing dinners, cleaning house,
no, and I think,
talking about their feelings.
I think that they both did things, you know, they're both kind of to blame for the situation they ended up in. But from my understanding of it, what was more interesting was I read, I think it was when I was coming back from Cannes, an article in Vanity Fair comparing this case to the divorce of, it wasn't a divorce, Sandra Locke and suing Clint Eastwood for palimony in 1989 after a 13-year relationship. And it really made me want to read Sandra Locke's memoir, The Good, the Bad, and the Very Ugly. And she's since died of, I think, breast and bone cancer several years ago. But the situation where the public sides with the more powerful, popular male figure always is interesting. It kind of ruins the woman's, like Sandra Locke's career was pretty much ruined after that. And I feel like Amber Heard is going to face an uphill battle trying to make a comeback.
Sure.
Which maybe she just needs to go to Europe. Like,
did you read that Morbius is back in theaters?
No, I don't know why.
Because apparently, like, it's like, I was reading that it's like memes of it, or memes from the movie have gone viral, but I haven't seen anything. But I guess my algorithm's off. But the studio wants to capitalize on that, and so it's back in theaters, in like 1,000 theaters. I thought that was interesting.
That's so, just let it die.
Okay, you wanted to talk about Tribeca.
Oh, Tribeca Film Festival starts next week. I have online access, so I'll see a few things. I'm only really excited for the new Andrew Dosen movie, but...
What do we know him for?
Oh, he did that. It was in my top 10 of, I think, 2017, Where's Kyra, starring Michelle Pfeiffer, that I really liked.
Well, speaking of tops, you need to give us your top 5 of May.
Yes.
So what's your number 5? Or are these in any particular order?
They were. I had Top Gun Maverick, which is making oodles of money.
Oh, good.
And, you know, we were talking about this with neighbors, actually, about, oh, you must have had nostalgia for the first one. Like, no, because we watched that recently. The first one's, I think, terrible. But the second one is kind of competently made, and it's cheesy, but it at least has some dramatic tension and some characterization, and it's enjoyable. So, yeah, I recommend seeing it.
Number 4, Akiara.
That's was Cannes last year. I tried to get you to watch it. We didn't have time. Jonas Carpignano's film about this mobster's daughter who gets removed from her family and put into like an adoptee it gets adopted by someone else per a court order.
Number 3, Men.
The Alex Garland film. I don't think it's perfect. I think it's a strange metaphorical film, but definitely worth a watch.
Number 2, Happening.
Audrey Dewan's abortion memoir that won Venice.
And your number 1 pick for May is Emergency.
Yes, which we didn't review, but we saw. You watched it with me when out of Sundance, about the pair of friends that the 2 young black kids that end up helping that stupid drunk white girl and kind of the terrible night they have.
Yeah. And we're very lucky today because you also have a top 5 for the first half of 2022.
Well, because I had to submit a list, because that's a thing now, that the top 5 films of the first half of the year. So anything that played from January 1st to June 30, May 31st.
So number 5 is Compartment Number 6.
Yes, a Finnish film that was at Cannes last year that came out theatrically earlier this year. I liked a lot.
Number 4, You Won't Be Alone.
With Noomi Rapace and a bunch of other people. We reviewed that.
Number 6, Memoria. Number 3, sorry.
The Pitchapong Weirasthikal film, also Cannes 2021 with Tilda Swinton.
Number 2, Vortex.
We reviewed the Gaspar Noé film about a couple dealing with dementia and Alzheimer's.
And number 1, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Yes, which I'm sure 1 or 2 of these will probably be on my top 10 of the year. Definitely Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
So we don't have any entries in the Sorry to This Man section, which I guess means we were perfect.
No, it just means nothing was.
Well, if I read through the comments, I'm sure I'll find people correcting me.
What did somebody comment, like, try to correct me? It's Saban Films is pronounced Saban. Like, okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you kindly. All right, movies that were released we didn't cover after Blue.
I still insist that we make time for this week, because it came out Friday, technically, but I really liked it.
Next, Watcher.
Yeah, starring Micah Monroe, directed by Chloe Akuno, who I think directed one of the segments of VHS 94. I didn't really like this. I sat out at Sundance, so I think it was fine. We skipped it. Micah Monroe stars, who I'm not... Ever since... I liked her in The Guest, but I haven't really cared for her in anything since. Even Greta.
Next, Neptune Frost.
This we should have made time for, but we didn't. Very interesting, weird film. Was at all the festivals last year. TIFF, I think Sundance Sundance this year, TIFF last year, Cannes. Very bizarre, interesting film that I would have to rewatch to speak on.
Next, Poser.
This got a lot of attention out of some film festival that opened this week. Noah Dixon and Ori Segev direct.
Lastly, The Score.
This sounded interesting. Johnny Flynn, who we saw play David Bowie in that subpar biopic, stars and sings some of the tracks, and Will Poulter and Naomi Ackie, who I'd be curious, who's in the Small Axe series from Steve McQueen, but she's about to be, we're about to see her as Whitney Houston in the coming months, so that would have been interesting to see her.
Okay, things we watched for fun. Ozark season 4, you finished that.
Oh my God.
I tried to sit through like 3 episodes and it was hard.
It just...
Well, you completed, so why don't you, because you really liked seasons 1 and 2.
And 3.
And 3.
Yeah.
But 4, to me, felt like they
ran it into the ground.
They ran into the ground combined with they were limited because of COVID.
Yes, and it's just one of those, everything has a ripple effect, and every bad deed comes back and bites everybody in the ass, and it's just this, kind of a house of cards, if you will, that's always about to topple over, and all it, like, in a very elaborate game of chess, and it really ends on a note of just their wheel of fortune stopped right there, and that's where we're ending the series, because it could be the song that never ends.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Something called Our Brothers.
The next 3 things on this list, Cannes ended, but I still have a few screeners that I've been making my way through. Rashid Bouchereb's Our Brothers, which was just okay.
Pamphir.
Pamphir is this Ukrainian film from Director's Fortnight that I liked a bit more, about a father. His son burns down this building lot, and he has to go back into smuggling and to kind of pay for his son's damage, and things get out of control.
The Mountain.
This was in Director's Fortnight as well. It was the only other Director's Fortnight film to win an award this year. Beautifully shot, but starring the director himself, Thomas Salvador, who is like an inert screen presence. Basically about this man that retreats into the wilderness and finds strange creatures and these mountain fishers. But he was so boring to watch.
Sheila Levine is dead and living in New York.
So I read the book by Gail Parent, which I thought was excellent. Kind of like, as I said, I think in last week's podcast about kind of like a female version of Portnoy's Complaint. And it's like that film is a therapy, or Portnoy's Complaint is a therapy session, basically. Sheila Levine is a suicide note, just a long suicide note of this girl, this chubby, unhappy Jewish woman in 1970s New York who wants to kill herself. But it's very funny, very well written. And the film was directed by Sidney J. Furie, who, of course, did The Entity and also Lady Sings the Blues. It was a big flop, and even though Gail Parents co-scripted the adaptation, it completely divorces itself from the tone and the structure of the book. But I do really like Jeannie Berlin. I think she's actually too beautiful for what I think that character is supposed to embody. I didn't realize after looking it up that she didn't do another, that was 1975, she didn't do another film until 1990. I think that the reaction against that film. She was previously nominated for starring in her mother's film, The Heartbreak Kid, which she got an Oscar nod for. She, of course, is Elaine May's daughter. And I think at that time, she was just constantly compared to her mother as being and looking and sounding like her mother. And I have to believe that if Elaine May had been interested or had wanted to direct Sheila Levine, it would have been a completely different experience. But Gail Parent wrote for Tracy Ullman on Tracy Takes On. She wrote for The Golden Girls for years. Very funny, talented writer.
Alice and the Mayor.
This won a prize out of Directors Fortnight out of Cannes in 2019, and I had missed it. And it's playing on Mubi right now, and it stars a couple of actors I really like, Anaïs de Moustier and Fabrice Lucchini, about this young woman who's basically an intern that the mayor takes a shining to, who's about to maybe announce a presidential campaign, and they get potentially too close, but very well written and performed.
Something called Angel.
You watched this with me yesterday.
Yes, it was recommended to us.
So there are 4 of them. The first one is 1983, directed by Robert Vincent O'Neill, and he directed the sequel, Avenging Angel. And all 4 films star a different actress as this girl named Angel, who's, in the first one, she's a high school student who is a hooker on Hollywood Boulevard by night, and there's a serial killer killing hookers. And Susan Tyrrell is her weirdo-ass landlord.
There are a lot of WTF moments, and I wish we had watched it with better video quality, because the one on YouTube didn't have the best quality.
Yeah, the sequel is easier to find on streaming.
But it is enjoyable.
I can't wait to watch it, because that's the one Rupaul had filmed some... there's a famous line of Susan Tyrrell's in that about, like, soon you'll be on your back fighting for fish heads and rice in Calcutta.
Oh, God. And lastly, Forever Mine.
Paul Schrader film from 1999 starring the recently deceased Ray Liotta, Joseph Fiennes, and Gretchen Mol. It's a little lackluster, but I like Ray Liotta a lot. But Joseph Fiennes, I know, circa 1998 Shakespeare in Love era, he was kind of a heartthrob, but...
All right, moving on to projects of interest. Something called Our Son.
Yeah, Luke Evans and Billy Porter are playing a couple that are divorcing and trying to get rights of their 8-year-old son.
That's an interesting couple.
That is an interesting couple.
I don't know how I feel about that one.
Billy Porter also directed a movie about a trans kid's high school experience that's coming out next month.
And then is Arachnophobia being remade?
Arachnophobia is being remade by Christopher Landon, who's the son of who.
I would be very interested in seeing that. That's the gay guy.
Yeah.
Christopher Landon.
Michael Landon's son, who directed...
Freaky Friday?
Freaky Friday and the Happy Death Day film.
Is it called Freaky Friday or Freaky?
Freaky.
Yeah, Freaky Friday is with Lindsay Lohan.
Well, Jodie Foster, technically, but the remake is Lindsay Lohan, yes.
All right, unfortunately, there's an entry in the obituary section.
I think we missed it from last week, but Bo Hopkins died. He was 84. In a lot of Sam Peckinpah films, you'd probably recognize him if you saw him, but yeah.
Well, goodbye to this man. So, our secret movie you alluded to last week because you attempted to watch it on the plane back from Cannes, and you said it was so ridiculous you knew you had to stop and watch it with me so we could talk about it. And I could not guess what it was.
Well, okay, so I had the year wrong. I said 1994 because a couple people reached out like, is it Exit to Eden? Is it Color of Night? No, it was a 1993 film directed by Adrian Lyne, which kind of slowed his role for a while.
So the film you're talking about is Indecent Proposal, starring Demi Moore and Woody Harrelson and Robert Redford.
Yes.
We have 34 minutes. We might need it all because I have so many notes. This movie is ridiculous.
I know. I was howling on the plane and I had to stop.
Oh my God. It's directed by who?
Adrian Lyne.
What do I know this person?
Oh my God. So, Fatal Attraction, 9.5 Weeks, Jacob's Ladder, and we reviewed his first film in 20 years, Deep Water.
Indecent Proposal was nominated for 7 Razzies, and it won 4 of them for Worst Picture, Worst Supporting Actor for Woody Harrelson, Worst Screenplay. Oh no, it just won 3. No, it won 4. Worst Screenplay, Worst Supporting, Worst Picture? No, it was 3. Anyway.
Interesting. So Amy Landon Jones was the screenwriter, and I think we can blame a lot of this on her fault. It's based on a book, but only loosely. Like there's a tangent of the book, because the book is about Israeli-Saudi political relationships, and there's some character that does what the Redford character does in the book. But she, Halle Berry, we can get back to this, wanted to be in this film. And Halle Berry eventually starred in a movie directed by Amy Landon Jones called The Rich Man's Wife. And when Halle Berry was doing John Wick press with Angelica Houston, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Somebody asked her, like, is there a movie of hers that she hated? And she said The Rich Man's Wife.
Oh. Okay, the basic story is Demi Moore and Woody Harrelson are married, and they have financial trouble. They need $50,000. So Woody Harrelson borrows $5,000 from his dad and decides to go to Vegas to gamble it and hopefully, make tenfold. He's there. He's up like Cardi B, and then he's down. Mm-hmm. So they're in a bad way. But during this little weekend of gambling, Robert Redford plays a billionaire who's like a high roller at the Hilton where they're gambling, and he spots Demi Moore. Mm-hmm. And somehow she takes his breath away.
Somehow, yes.
So at the peak of their sadness, and right as they're about to leave, Robert Redford sees her and Woody and says, "Hey, come be my good luck charm. Come sit with me." And he gambles all this money,
$1 million.
He wins, so he wins his money back. And he says, "I want to treat you guys to a beautiful suite, buy whatever you want. I really want to thank you." And then he invites them to a party. And at the party, Robert Redford proposes
an indecent
proposal. He offers Woody and Demi $1 million for one night with Demi to have sex with her, obviously. And after very little more back and forth than I would need, they agree. It happens. And then their relationship falls apart, primarily because Woody's character is so jealous and preoccupied with what he already knows they did, which we can get into. So it destroys their marriage. They actually end up filing for divorce.
Well, also part of that is they get the $1 million and then they go try to buy their property back because he's an architect.
Their financial problems revolve around them about to lose their dream home.
In Santa Monica that's only half constructed. And they're like, "You're 2 days late. Somebody has already, it's under contract with somebody else." And that happens to be Robert Redford.
But anyway, their relationship sort of deteriorates. And during that time, Robert Redford is persistently trying to get Demi. He wants her. And
don't know why.
We can talk about it, but it's she doesn't want him, and all of a sudden she does. And then it ends with Robert Redford realizes that she will never love him. So he he basically like dogs her out, like tells her, oh, you're part of the $1 Million Club or whatever, and I've had many women like you, but you're the best one, like trying to hurt her feelings. And then she just goes, oh, well, I think I should probably leave, but thank you. It's a very like sweet exit. I would have been pissed.
She goes, let me out of the car.
Well, no, she just says, could you pull the car over?
Yeah.
And then she gives him a kiss and says, thank you. And then they drop her off at the bus stop. And then she goes to the pier, because they're in Los Angeles. So it looks like they're in Santa Monica Pier.
Paradise Cove.
Or Paradise, yeah, wherever, like Malibu. And it's a foggy morning. And she goes to the pier where Woody Harrelson proposed to her.
And he's just there.
And he's just there. And then they share a line several times about, have I ever told you I love you? And so she tells him that. And then we're to assume that they're going to get back together. The end. Okay. This story is the epitome of, like, it just feels like in the like early 90s, like how people saw monogamy and sex and being sort of very conservative and
well, this was quite a scandalous film because I remember my parents talking about it.
oh, I remember my mom talking with like her friend. I remember like my friend's parents or like, you know, that mom talking about it. And I remember my mom renting it and then saying like we couldn't watch it. Mm-hmm. So I've never seen it.
I remember my parents renting my dad being like, I hate this movie.
Oh, I don't even... Well, should I just start going through my notes and then you can add to it?
Sure.
All right. So...
Well, I think it should have been called One Flew Over the Cuck's Nest.
Yeah. Well...
They have a line about cuckoo birds, too.
But then it's kind of weird because... Oh, God. Like, Robert Redford is not appealing.
I don't think so.
And Woody Harrelson's not unappealing. So the whole cuckold thing feels like... Yeah, but like in like a weird reverse. But... Anyway, the film opens with sort of a flashback of Demi and Woody's like romance. Like they met when they were very young. Mm-hmm. And we see Woody driving in a pickup truck and, you know, they try to de-age him by putting like longer hair on him and giving him like 70s clothes. Uh-huh. And then we see Demi sitting in the back of the truck. And she looks like the girl from The Ring. She has this like ratty, long, dark hair. And then she smiles.
And she has braces.
And her teeth are covered in like these old school braces.
Oh,
And that's within the first like 3 minutes.
That's when I knew I'm like, okay, we're in
trouble. Then, I was like, oh no. Even the opening song, which apparently was also nominated for a Razzie, which is performed by Lisa Stanfield. It sounded like it could have been in the movie The Room.
Yes, and then they have terrible... The screenplay is so bad, but they have alternating narration from both these characters.
Oh, and the dialogue is so corny. But then we see them like they're the perfect couple. Mm-hmm. But then we cut to like modern... Like now where they are in their relationship currently. Demi gets mad because Woody is excessively messy. Like unreasonably messy. Like we see... You know those commercials for like...
like a child's...
Well, you know the commercials where it's like... There's a tool to help
quicker
you...
picker up or...
Something like that. And then they show the people who can't close a jar properly or they can't close a
crushed Oreos that get all over.
Yeah, like Woody Harrelson, like we see him making like one of those Elvis Presley sandwiches and he's pouring honey out of the jar and the honey is just dripping everywhere and he's totally oblivious to it. He has his dirty soccer cleats or baseball cleats on the kitchen table. Mm-hmm. His laundry is everywhere, and Demi is furious. And they start fighting. Like, she's throwing shit at him.
She throws the shoe at his head.
She hits him.
She hits him, and then she has a butter knife on him.
And then she starts laughing, and then they start having sex.
While a shirt starts on fire.
Well, I think it was a pair of underwear.
Yeah.
But then she goes, your pants are on fire, but it was underwear. And then his pants are on fire, and then we just cut to them having financial problems. Because then we're told that there's a recession. She's a real estate agent. He's an architect.
She's like, I haven't made a sale in 6 months. In LA? Oh. Even during a recession, you made a sale in 6 months.
So I just wrote down that these people seem like fragile spirits.
They do. And it's like, they're told by Oliver Platt, his lawyer college friend, that like you didn't keep up on the payments. Like you didn't do anything for 6 months.
Even before we get there, the moment when we're told they're having problems, Demi's sitting on the toilet. Crying with her panties around her ankles. So she's using the bathroom while Woody is standing there brushing his teeth. She's crying. Or shaving, sorry. Then when Woody's buddy / lawyer is...
he's like, I don't know, maybe I'll drive a cab, and she's like, make it go away.
Also, the use of the lawyer is so weird because I'm assuming they needed that character to help construct the contract between Robert Redford
Much
and
like
Depp.
50 Shades of Grey, yeah.
But then it's so stupid. Like, are these people so dumb that they don't understand how a mortgage works? Like, you're defaulting. Your home is going to foreclosure. The bank is going to seize your assets, and because my God.
But they're living currently in a beautiful place with a garden in the back. How are you paying for that?
They currently live in a beautiful home in LA, but then his dream, we're told that they don't have money, but they have this beautiful home and they both work, like have professional jobs. So we're made to think. Then they buy this big plot of land on the beach in Santa Monica where he's building his dream home. And they say we had to sort of like pinch our pennies to be able to do this. And it's like, how much money were you making that you were able to just pinch pennies to build a new home
In Santa Monica. In the 90s even.
So the math ain't mathin'.
And then she says something like, but while they're doing the penny pinching, so she's like, he would just take me around LA and to look at architecture he likes. And I'd say, why are we looking at this car wash? And then he'd tell me that you don't use your eyes to look at it. He made me look at things differently.
Oh my
just
God.
like it's just this. It's written by a woman. It makes this woman seem so stupid.
I hated the lawyer. Who played the lawyer?
Oliver Platt.
Oh my God.
Who's always kind of like icky.
And it's like, you need your lawyer to explain to you that you're defaulting on your loan. Okay. So then they go to Vegas, they get the proposal. When I tell you, it's so funny watching things from a different lens. Like, obviously, we're watching it 30 years later as our society has evolved in some ways, and then also, like, you know, we're probably less sexually repressed as a society. And then just as an individual, to me, it was like, if someone approached me and said, I'll give you $1 million to sleep with your husband, bitch, you can give me 1,000,000 pennies, and I would say yes. Like, what? And then we're like in financial ruin.
They're in dire straits according to them. So
$1 million.
And then they're still like, I would tell you, because it's posed to them hypothetically. He's like, what would you say if I asked to sleep with your wife for $1 million? And Demi's like, he'd tell you to go to hell.
Okay, but before that happens, when they're up gambling, like they took their 5,000 and made it into like 25,000 that first night. So they're in their hotel room and they are like throwing the money on each other. And then we get a sex scene with Sade's No Ordinary Love in the background. And they're having sex with like this dirty ass casino money like all over them.
I wrote, they are disrespecting this money.
Oh my God. It's so terrible. Of course they lose the money. And then the final sort of bet, like I think they're playing roulette. They are playing roulette.
Yeah.
That final bet with all of their money, when they lose, Demi tries to grab the chips. Like, bitch, is this your first time in a casino? I'm surprised they didn't fucking like... hit her with a billy club.
Again, also, it's not that Demi is not beautiful. I don't find her particularly captivating, and the spell she's put over Robert Redford, who also I don't find captivating. It's just so hammy.
I don't think she's unappealing. She kind of reminded me of like Kristen Stewart she's not unappealing. And attraction is subjective.
$1 million? $1 million.
Yeah, but look at the people you found very attractive. Like, that's for you. Like, you don't have to.
Sure.
So it's not fair to say, like, you don't think she's attractive. Who cares what you think? Like, that Robert Redford thought she was attractive. So I get it. And also, he's super rich. So he's trying to control people. He wants things and he's going to get them.
Well, his whole story about why we do get a little background about why he's pursuing her this way, because a woman got away like that in his youth.
30 years prior, and he said that every day for the past 30 years, he thinks about her and regrets her getting away, which again is like, you know, this is a very touchy subject for me about people. Like, people want you, but they're not concerned if you want them. Like, this lady smiled at you on a subway and you spent 30 years regretting you couldn't have her. How do you know that bitch even liked you? Maybe she was just being polite.
It's very much like Bram Stoker's Dracula, where Mina Harker, you look just like the love I lost, so I must have you. It's
so rapey to me when people act that way. It's like, are you concerned at all with the other person being interested in you? Clearly not.
No.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves on my list because when Robert Redford's character asks Demi to like sit with him as his good luck charm, an unrecognizable Billy Bob Thornton
Yes.
is talking to Woody Harrelson about Robert Redford's character, saying that he's like a billionaire and he gets what he wants, blah, blah, blah. I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, he used to be kind of chubby.
Yeah, the extra weight really changed his face. Okay, getting to Robert Redford. They use like soft lighting on him in some shots, and that doesn't really help. Like,
No.
he's not... I mean, I was looking at pictures of him from back in the day, and it's like, I could see why people thought he was appealing. I don't.
From like Barefoot in the Park. And
Yeah, what... I mean,
Butch
to
Cassidy.
Me, to me, he's not anything to get excited about, but certainly, like, in this movie... And then he has gross hands. Like, he has old man... He has old man everything, but he has old man hands and ugly fingernails. Just like, ugh. They couldn't find a different... I mean, I guess Robert Redford was a big deal in 1993.
Yeah. But I read that originally it was supposed to be a project for Nicole Kidman, Tom Cruise, and Warren Beatty.
That would have been interesting.
But
they probably read the script and said, hell no.
The script is really bad.
Okay, so, I used to work in a casino in Las Vegas doing casino marketing. So I'm very familiar with these high rollers and like being in the pit. Mm-hmm. So watching the scene where Robert Redford's character requests like $1 million to gamble and watching the pit boss get all sweaty because of course we don't want them to win. That was giving me like flashbacks of my time working. And like, I always have a million stories that I'm not going to talk about now, but that was the only part of the movie that kind of like had my attention.
And when the pit boss like squeezes his coffee cup, it's a styrofoam coffee cup.
When Robert Redford like doubles his million, the pit boss like, because he's sweating, which is not consistent. Sometimes he's sweating, sometimes he's dry. But when he realizes Robert wins, he squeezes his coffee cup. It's so cheesy.
I read that Michael Bay shot those scenes with the dice.
Oh, interesting.
Which is strange, yeah.
We do get a little cameo from Sheena Easton.
Yeah.
Because Robert Redford apparently travels with his own pianist and his own lounge singer. Mm-hmm. So we do get to see her. And talking about how you don't think she's that pretty, it's like y'all should have cast Sheena Easton.
I know.
She's somebody to pay $1 million for.
Well, it's just like, Demi Moore in the 90s, who notoriously had that string of flops after Ghost, right?
Yeah.
In all like very adult films, this and Striptease and G.I. Jane, The Juror.
I could see a Nicole Kidman. I could see like a Kim Basinger. I just think that it does kind of feel...
Well, the way Demi's styled, and she's wearing these like frumpy clothing, they give her that Terry Mugler dress.
Well, when Robert Redford's character first sees her, she's in the gift shop in the casino, and she's like eyeing this $5,000 black strappy dress, and then she's wearing like a white tank top without a bra, and of course has an amazing body. So, when he sees her initially, she does look better than just frumpy.
Sure, but she still has this air about her of like, oh, you like this impoverished vagabond? Like, what is it about her?
The dialogue is so cliched, like it just, of course Demi tells Robert like some things aren't for sale.
And that seems to be what really got him interested.
Like now he has a challenge on his hands. Getting back to Halle Berry, okay, some things that I thought... So the story, I think, is just... It's so poorly written and constructed, and the dialogue's so bad. But I think what would have made more sense to me is the proposal. First of all, these characters are in such dire straits that I think it would have... Like it makes sense to me that they need motivation for this. Mm-hmm. In 1993, from a traditional standpoint, it would have to be a very serious reason why you would consider this. But I think the fact that Woody Harrelson's character gets so jealous over something that was like exactly what this man was paying for.
I think it was a mistake to make.
It's not like you told me you were going to have coffee with someone and then I find out you went to a gangbang.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, that's not what you said. It's like this man literally said, I'm going to pay you $1 million to have sex with your wife tonight. And then he's mad about the fact that oh my God, there's a helicopter scene.
Oh, yeah, because he's changed his mind and he tries to chase after them.
Woody has second thoughts, and then we get a scene of him running through the casino like a crazy person, getting on the elevator. Then the way the elevator scene actually feels like Michael Bay, because it's just like the camera works all over the place. Woody is like writhing in agony. He runs out, bangs on the door of where
the penthouse.
The penthouse. breaks in. The housekeeper's freaking out, like, no, they're not. No está aquí. And then she's like, they're up, like helicopter. And then she says it like, I don't know how to say helicopter in Spanish, but she says it like helicopterero upstairs. So Woody runs upstairs, and the helicopter's pulling off, and Woody's running, like,
and screaming
her name.
D. No, he's screaming D.
But then, after the deed is done, we don't know how much time has passed. They're back home gardening, and he's mad.
He finds matches from the
yacht.
Old boy has designer matches with his yacht's
with
name
his
on
yacht
it.
symbol on it.
Griffin.
And he's mad.
He mispronounces.
He does, but it's so weird because it's just like you left with him. You went to Santa Barbara on a boat, motherfucker. You saw me leaving a helicopter. Where did you think we were going? Like the Grand Canyon?
And then it's like, we should talk about it. No, we shouldn't talk about it. It's like, clearly you guys need to talk about it.
But what is there to talk about? Like, I mean, there's a lot to talk about, but it's like, you knew your wife was having sex with this man, but now you're like in agony thinking about the fact that she might have had sex with him.
That she
you know
enjoyed
she
it.
did. But then it boils down to, did you enjoy it? And she says yes. And it's like, I just don't understand. Oh my God. Then it's so poorly done. Like the scene where they decide to say yes, it's because Demi brings it up. Like, well, we do need this money. We can change our lives. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, it's just sex. It's not like my mind. It's just my body. And then she goes, well, it can't be any worse than that time I slept with Bubba Sparks or whatever. And he's like, what? You slept with Bubba? When? And she's like, well, when you were running around with that slut, Christy Turlington or whatever the name was.
She said something like, she formatted that girl's last name as like Dago.
Oh, that's right, Daigle. Like Christy Daigle.
And he corrected her.
But it's like, okay. And then they start giggling and laughing. And then it's clear like they're okay with it. So I guess like the character work, and we should have spent more time with how this couple arrived at the decision to do it. Then it's done. I do like that they don't show it because it doesn't matter. And then the disintegration of their relationship, and then how Demi's character falls in love with this man, too stupid to realize that she's just like a toy that he bought.
Mm-hmm. Well, it doesn't press again to how disappointing, written by a woman, and who knows, maybe her original script was modified. That discussing how this woman is treated like she's the property of both of these men.
Yeah, it doesn't delve into the serious issues of like how this woman's being treated, and how that might affect how we don't really ever get like the sense that she's processed that her husband sold her basically.
Yeah. And then when Robert Redford tells her, if you were mine, I wouldn't share you with anyone. It's like, well, she's really belongs to herself. And
right.
So where is that dialogue happening?
But we mentioned Halle Berry because I thought like so many things could have been more interesting. Like,
yeah, they didn't want a racial undertone, which of course the optics of a rich white man buying a black woman. Yeah,
I could see that being like probably like people wouldn't really like that. So it makes sense to me why maybe she didn't get cast.
But think of how race could have played into this scenario in really interesting ways. Like, what if the billionaire was black?
Anything would have been more interesting than this. It was so predictable. The scene where Woody calls his lawyer Oliver Platt to say like, hey, I need you to help me with a contract. And his lawyer is in a meeting with like these two gay guys who want him to represent them.
Who wrote a script.
And the lawyer says, here, I'll put him on speakerphone.
Why?
Why would you do that? And then as he's talking about like, well, someone wants to pay $1 million to sleep with, Demi. And then it's just like, he's still on speakerphone. That shit was so annoying.
He's like, what? I could have
gotten you $2 million
for a woman like Diana.
Yeah, he goes, she's at least worth $2 million. Oh, so gross.
No, so stupid.
The other thing that annoyed me was that Demi, after she agrees to do it, she has the shittiest attitude for the entire movie towards Robert Redford until she doesn't.
That's where you got that Kristen Stewart vibe, I think.
Oh my God. It's like, why? I don't understand why her character was made like that. Like, why did she agree to this and then not approach it as like, well, I've decided to do this thing. I'm just going to have fun with it. Nope, she's fucking miserable with him. Every time she sees him after their lives have moved on, she's fucking miserable. And then we cut towards the end. Like, it's the 90-minute mark when all of a sudden we see her dressed in like fancy clothes, diamond earrings, getting out of a Rolls Royce with Robert Redford going to dinner, and it seems like they're a couple. And it's not well explained, like, so are you officially done with, we don't know how much time has passed. We assume several months because they talk about the recession's over and blah, blah, blah.
The recession's over.
And that she took a job and he's got a job. So time has passed, but the film does not explain, like, how did she all of a sudden, like, does she love this man? Because she's leaving the man she did love to be with him. So is it just the money? Because she never talks about money. In fact, they both say they're going to give the money away. So I don't understand what she saw in him.
What did you think about the importance of the hippos?
Oh God! Then there's a scene with like a hippo, and then we get like visuals of like a hippo in nature with like a plush toy, and then Woody decides to give away the money
At this
by
auction.
buying like a hippo. I couldn't believe that they like he did that. Okay. After they come back from Vegas, they have the $1 million. They immediately go to the real estate agency to say, hey, we're ready to pay off the money we owe. And the agent, who was also disgusting, he's like, sorry, you're 2 days late.
You snooze, you
Well,
lose.
no one warned us. What? You knew that you were about to default. You had been warned by your lawyer. You're 2 days late. And then the guy says, well, we called you and we sent you a certified letter that got returned because you weren't home. And then Demi's like, well, we were out of town. It's like, you know what? You two people are so incompetent and so ridiculous. You deserve each other and you deserve to be broke without this house.
Well, with $1 million, you could go buy a different space.
And then that was my next thought. Like with $1 million, you could have bought your dream house. Why are you tripping off of...
But she makes it a point to find out who's under contract, finds out it's Johnny Gage, and then goes
Robert
and
Redford's
Redford makes a scene. It's like
She goes and flips a table like Teresa Giudice style.
Yes, but it's like that was a signal that he is playing with you. Stay away.
And then and then he keeps following her, and then he shows up at her job and says like, I want you to show me a house. And Demi's boss says, you're going to show this man this house or you're fired. So they go house shopping. And then what I thought was such a ridiculous scene, they're driving like through Bel Air or something. And then they look at a house. Robert doesn't like it. They see another house and he's like, oh, I like that one. And she's like, well, that's at least $30 million and it's not for sale. And he says everything's for sale. So they get out of the car and they're just walking through this like mansion, walking in these people's grass. They walk into their fucking house.
And then she goes,
And then it's at that point, Demi goes,
is this your house?
bitch, I can't. You're a real estate agent who just walked into someone's occupied house.
He goes, it is. Tell me what it's missing.
A woman's touch, basically.
No, she's like a life. It very much feels structured like a 1950s melodrama where like a women's picture, but without an interesting woman at the center of it.
Yeah. I thought the only thing about this script that works is that it's made clear that Robert Redford's character just wants to collect things. And I think that should have been the angle. Like how this person's just playing with people and he ruined this relationship. But, you know, ultimately we're made to think that they get back together, Woody and Demi. But then it's like, I'm not rooting for these people. They're both stupid and like, who cares if they get back together or not? Okay, then there's another scene where Woody is at home and he has a pair of like dirty, like soil-covered Chuck Taylors on the kitchen table. What's wrong with him? Have you ever seen someone put dirty-ass shoes on the kitchen table?
No.
That doesn't even make sense.
Nope.
He's so excessively messy. It's like, is that supposed to like... I don't know if the film's trying to give us reasons why Demi would be tired of him. Because the only reason they're giving us is that he's messy. Which is not a reason. I would have left your ass a long time ago. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like,
Me? I don't do that.
no, you don't. But I'm saying it's such a flimsy reason. Like, yes, I think you're messy, but like that can't be the only reason that I would leave you. Like, what else has he done? And then he's jealous, but that's not. I mean,
He can't let it go. Is what it is. And
okay. Then at a point, Demi says that she needed something to do to occupy her mind, not because she needs money. So she starts teaching citizenship classes.
There's a moment where they first separate, and it's not for sure how long. And she's like, "I got very good staring at walls."
Oh my God.
You basic Ugh.
And then it's like the film is not explaining how much time is passing and how do they feel about each other. We do get a scene where Woody is like tearing like pictures of himself with Demi, like tearing them in half. And then later in the film, we see that he's taped them back together up on the wall. Then Robert Redford's character has, every movie with a billionaire, they have their ubiquitous like assistant who does all their dirty work.
Oh yeah, Seymour Cassel. Yeah.
So Seymour Cassel is his assistant. And I don't understand what this character was thinking, because there's a point where Woody confronts Demi and Woody saying like, I want you back, don't you love me? And then he's super drunk and faints. And then Seymour Cassell's character like carries him back to the Rolls Royce, drives him home and dumps him on the couch. And then he sees all the torn pictures that have been taped together of Woody and Demi. And he just has a look on his face that was so confusing. Like, is that supposed to convey that he thinks that, like, he feels sorry for this man, or that he thinks this man is stupid? I hated that. Like, what is the filmmaker trying to tell us about anything? Also, you just pulled up Rip Taylor.
Rip Taylor.
Rip Taylor's in the movie playing Demi's boss. Just such random people in this thing.
And then Myra J. and who else did you recognize playing Craps?
Oh,
Edwanda White.
Edwanda White is a stand-up comedian who has a special on YouTube I really like. But yeah, she's one of the people playing Craps.
And then Billy Connolly playing himself as the MC at this auction.
Ugh. I just think it's so anticlimactic. Like, what's his name? Robert Redford's character realizes that Demi's never going to love him. But then it's like, who cares what he feels, because he clearly just wants to, he just wants what he wants. Because there's even a moment when Woody's lawyer says, oh, yeah, Johnny Gage, he's a poon hound.
Yeah.
So he's a notorious playboy.
Like Ted Nugent.
So I'm just thinking, the filmmaker also doesn't make it clear whether or not Robert Redford's character really wanted love.
He has no characterization.
Right. So it's like, who cares? I couldn't care less about the three main characters and where they end up.
No. They're all bland, problematic people. That they're not. This couple doesn't seem very keen on survival skills.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Then when he drops her off at the bus stop, I was like, oh my God.
And she starts running.
And then he gives her like a 50-cent coin, like, for good luck. I just think, like, this man ruined your life, basically.
And now you don't have money.
Now you don't have money. You lost your dream home.
You have a hippo.
You have a hippo somewhere in Africa that you bought with this $1 million. Like...
And for a trite ending, that's where he says, Woody Harrelson tells her at the end that he had to learn that to forgive, not forget.
If anyone out there wants to pay to have sex with my husband, please reach out.
Oh my God.
We can work out a deal.
Oh my God.
I mean, not for cheap, but what would we accept?
What?
No.
I'd have to think about that. Anyway, this kind of slowed Adrian Lyne's role, because he didn't do another film until he remade Lolita in '97 with Dominique Swain and Jeremy Irons, which I remember when I met you had on VHS because you liked some handsome young thing in that. I don't remember.
Lolita?
Yeah.
Oh, Ben Wentworth.
Okay.
He's in the movie Get Real.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I liked him as a 20-year-old. I mean, 23 years later.
Sure.
I wouldn't find him appealing. He looks like a kid, but...
But then he remade Chabrol's Unfaithful Wife as Unfaithful with Diane Lane, and then, of course, we didn't hear anything for 20 years from Adrian Lyne until Deep Water. I haven't seen 9.5 Weeks with Kim Basinger, by the way, but I think I've seen every other Adrian Lyne film, and this definitely is by far the worst thing that he
I would recommend this with some friends and some wine, and you can just talk shit about it.
But
that's the only way it would be enjoyable.
It is like striptease, though. It's hard to watch because it's just so dumb.
It was hard to sit through, yeah. But
yeah. Unlike something like Showgirls, which is on a whole nother level.
We need to watch Showgirls too.
Oh, Pennies from Heaven.
Pennies from Heaven.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Yeah, we need to watch that. Okay, well, that was Indecent Proposal. We have a busy week. Because we have events and then...
Events?
Well, I have an event.
Oh.
Yeah, I have that going away party. Did I tell you about that?
Who's going away?
Someone at work.
Oh, well.
And then we're going to see 2 movies.
Jurassic Park is this week. Lightyear.
The cartoon.
That, which I'm not really looking forward to. Again, I wanted to make sure we review After Blue.
Once again, I want to say thank you for the people who are sponsoring us on Anchor. That's very sweet.
Yeah.
And that's all I have.
Okay.
Do you have a quote?
Oh, are you reading anything?
No.
I'm reading The Man Who Fell to Earth by Walter Tevis, which of course was made into a brilliant film by Nicholas Roeg, which I'm almost done with the book, and I prefer Nicholas Roeg's David Bowie star. And of course there was a prequel television series starring Chiwetel Ejiofor and, is it Naomi Harris? And I forget what channel that's on, but I have an interest in watching that. Really, I think I would love for maybe that to be a secret film sometime, but... yeah.
Well, I get to pick the film next week, so we'll see what I come up with.
We have had several requests, which we always
appreciate. We have a lot of requests. There's one in particular. What's the one that we don't have the film?
I found it on streaming.
What is it called?
The Army of something.
Yeah. But anyway, is that all you have?
Yeah.
Okay, ta-ta.
Bye.
Huh.